I'm going out, I gotta go. I'll bang a rang on the radio. So turn it up, I'm telling you. I think I'm ready for something new. Hey, hello.
Hi, I'm Noelle, the host of Pop Punk and Pizza, and today I'm joined by Daryl, the vocalist of the Bollweevils. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Noel. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I know you're from Chicago, but what part of Chicago are you from?
Geez, that's like the funny question because people say they're from Chicago and then they're not really from Chicago because that's what it
Yeah.
always is. It's like the funniest thing. We were at punk rock bowling and we we walked into a karaoke bar. This
Yeah.
story does have something to say how we're from. And this guy's like playing piano. We're all there. It's a bunch of our buddies and stuff. And the guy's playing like Iron Maiden and stuff on like the piano, which
Oh,
is awesome. Like there's nobody in the
that's
bar.
cool.
And so we're singing along, we're all acting goofy. And he goes, "Where are you guys from?" He goes, "From Chicago." He says, "No, no. What suburb are you from?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, I'm from the western suburbs. I'm out there in Naperville." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm from Downers Grove." So I'm
Oh,
like, "Oh, there
cool.
you go." So
Yeah.
so yeah, so the guys from Chicago, they're in the band though. Ken, our guitar player, lives in Chicago proper. He's born and raised in Chicago, and so is our bass player, Pete Mittler, are from Chicago proper.
Yeah.
We're Chicagoland area, but two of our members definitely are from Chicago proper. And originally I was from Michigan. So I lived in Michigan originally
Oh, okay.
and moved to Illinois when I was a senior in high school. So
Yeah.
from originally born in Lansing, the capital of Michigan, hurrah. And then moved to just outside of Detroit, Southfield, Michigan. So that was a kind of a cool little spot to live in.
Cool.
So yeah, so from the Chicagoland area, everybody who says they're from Chicago, you
Yeah.
call them out, ask where they're really from. So I'm from the western suburbs. So
Cool. Yeah, I'm like half an hour away from Naperville. I'm in Carroll Stream, so
oh, so there you go. So yeah, see once
yeah.
again, fake Chicagoans, all of us.
Yeah, for sure. So I heard you were working on a Naked Ray Gun tribute album, and you met your band members at a Naked Ray Gun show. So can you tell me more about that
So
and like how you
yeah,
guys met?
yeah. I mean, the story goes, moving here from Michigan and then getting involved in the punk rock scene. I had opportunities to go to see one of the greatest punk rock bands around, Naked Ray Gun, introduced to them and going to see their shows. And those shows were events. They were just amazing times. You have, it's basically a family event. It's like a big family reunion.
Yeah,
And I get invited into this family of Chicago punk rock. Go to see them at the Metro and the Riv and the Vic and at the Riv and so at the Metro we'd go see them play, and those guys in the Bollweevils were always in the front row and we were always in the front. So we were survivors in the front together. And Ken and Bob at the time, who was playing the band, they handed me a tape and said, "Hey, do you want you to play in this band with us?" And I'm like, "Okay." And all of that was because they thought I looked cool and they didn't know if I could sing or not. I don't think I really looked that cool back then. I look at some of the photos and go, I don't know about that. I question it. But I still don't know if I look cool now, to be quite honest. I'll just be honest about it. But they handed me this tape and I listened to it, and then I was like, okay, I guess I can do this. And they figured I could sing only because I sang along to all the Ray Gun lyrics.
yeah,
Um, but who can you hear in the cacophony of people singing along as well? You couldn't just drown out in the chorus.
yeah,
But yeah, so we met from going to Ray Gun shows. Now the Ray Gun tribute album, there's a song that we did. God, which one did we do? We did, oh God, I gotta remember. We did,
we can come back to it.
I can't remember. I can't remember the song that we did now, which is crazy because I'm
Yeah,
getting old and senile. Um, but we did a song. It's really a record that's being put out by Kurt Harrison from the Usuals, and it's actually a record that is being put together to give some support to Pierre Kesney's family, a good friend of ours. So Pierre, the bass player from Ray Gun,
okay,
and a lot of bands from Chicagoland area and other bands that are actually nationally known are putting together songs to get put on this record.
yeah,
Um, Hopefully the status of that's coming out at some time. I don't know when, but I
yeah,
know that the bands on the record are really, really, really good. The songs are great.
Yeah.
And just happy to contribute to it because, ray gun's been a part of our lives forever. They are our good friends, our mentors, our family.
Yeah.
And this is really to support one of our family members. So that's why we were really jumping on that to do it. And we're happy
Yeah.
to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I heard Hot Water Music and Face to Face are going to be on it too, covering some
Yeah,
songs.
yeah.
So
That's
that's really
that's
cool.
that's crazy stuff. It's insane. It's
Yeah.
insane.
And your new album, Essential, will be released May 5th. And it's your first album in over 14 years, which is crazy. And what made you decide to call it Essential?
So that came about, the pandemic came around and we were bantering around names for the record. And, a lot of us work in essential fields, I'm an emergency physician, Ken is a teacher, Pete works as a lineman. So, other Pete works for the college. So to look at the idea of essential workers and people who are really making the world kind of spin around, that's kind of the play on that. But at the same time, realizing that all of us are essential in some sense to keep the world going. The record album itself, the cover was done by Benoit, tattoo artist, great tattoo
Okay,
artist.
cool.
And we told him what the record was going to be, and he came up with this wheel, and it's got the spokes in the wheel are arms, just different arms of human beings holding this wheel together, and the city is kind of in the wheel.
Yeah.
And it's kind of is that whole thing of all of us as human beings are really necessary to work together to make sure that this perpetual motion machine of life keeps on moving in a direction forward.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we came up with the title, thinking about it is important that we're all together and that we're all working to make ourselves leap forward. And it kind of just rolled off the tongue that way. Initially, when we heard essential, we were thinking, well, people are going to think this is like a compilation record, right?
Yeah.
That's not what it is. It's more so talking about the essential nature of us as a species existing together. And the songs are kind of anthematic in that way, and talk about how about different topics, whether it's hate, whether it's the neglect that we give to other people because I think our ideas are always the right ones, whether it's individuals doing self-harm to themselves and realizing that we all have a role to play, and we're all essential beings.
Yeah, and I think that's a great message. So you mentioned that you were a doctor, like you were going to med school at the time the band started out, and now you're a doctor. So how do you kind of balance being in the band and, being a doctor?
Well, I mean, sometimes it's not very balanced. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So and I guess as you grow older, you grow wiser and you find better ways to do things. It's like efficiency becomes a necessity because you don't have the same, vibrant, youthful energy that you had before.
Yeah.
And I still have some, but you have to be more efficient and use it in a more, sparing way.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a balance. It is hard. It's having supportive people around you. My wife is very supportive. My kids are supportive. And it's realizing where those priorities lie as well. I mean, I didn't always have the wisdom to actually put my priorities in the right place. So to balance, doing medicine and studying at the time, it got in the way. And the band broke up for a while because of that. When I went off to start my residency, it was in the middle of a tour and I had to leave, and the guys were not happy about that. They came back, we played a show, and next thing you know, I'm kicked out of the band and the band broke up. So it's having people around you that understand that you have a priority list in life, and you have to sometimes put some things above other priorities. And for me, medicine is a part of my life, and I definitely do that. It is on my list as a priority. but it's not in my top list of priorities. And music even isn't at the top list of my priorities, to be quite honest. I mean, the top list of my priorities really stem from, you know, my health, my marriage, my kids, and those things. When you start saying, hey, I want to do something with the band, you have to sometimes take one of those other priorities and move them out of the way and realize you're doing that. And having people who are in those other priorities or things in those priorities that understand that this is something else you want to do, helps to allow me to continue to do this at this level. So I really appreciate the people around me that allow me to do it.
Yeah, for sure. I imagine that's super difficult to do both things and still have, you know, your priorities. So, does being a doctor inspire your songwriting in any way?
Yeah, it does. I mean, there's so many things. I mean, you know, my field of medicine is emergency medicine, and you know, we basically deal with everybody. You know, the front door's open. There's no discrimination when it comes to taking care of individuals in the emergency department. We are the front door, and you see the highs and lows of everything. You see, you know, great tragedy. You see great triumph. You see, you know, the social ills, you know, brought to life. You see you know, individuals who have what they believe is privilege beyond anything. I mean, you see all these things, and you know, dealing with life and death, dealing with, you know, decay, dealing with, you know, new life, dealing with all these things brings about emotion. And you know, music is a great way to express emotion in a way that's healthy. And so there's always, you know, ways I can find inspiration with, you know, events, whether it's, you know, going back to songs like John Doe that were written way back in the day with my experiences in medical school and dealing with medical cadavers and thinking about, hey, this person was alive before they had a life, and we never think about that. They're just a John Doe to us. We don't know who they are, but they had something. Or going into the newer songs off the record, you know, The Cutting Solution is a song off our new record. And that to me, that was inspired by, you know, seeing just this rise in, you know, mental health emergencies with children, and you know, wanting to find a way to express the distress I feel over that, and seeing these young people's lives so torn apart, and you know, just the sadness that I feel that, you know, we as a nation don't take mental health very seriously in any way. We talk about it. People like to give lip service to it. All of our, you know, elected leaders like to give lip service to it, but they don't really put funding towards it in any way. And it's just a big health emergency that we're not dealing with. And can find ways to write songs about that. So my experiences in medicine really do come into play sometimes when I'm writing some of the songs. Not all of them. Many of them don't. I mean, Liniment and Tonic has nothing to do with medicine, you know, or the Bollweevils theme, but a lot of my influences come from everyday life, and a lot of my everyday life is dealing with illness and sickness and, you know, health and medicine.
Yeah, that's very interesting hearing about how all those things inspire your writing. That's cool. And how long have you been working on the album? Like, when did you start working on it?
Wow. I mean, since it's been 14 years, it's probably been 14 years ago.
Okay.
It is. I mean, it's one of those things that we had a couple of the songs already written for the album, you know, back when we released the last, you know, release that was the Attack Scene 7-inch that was released on Underground Communique here in Chicago. And you know, those two songs were going to be on the upcoming LP for the Bollweevils, and we were all jazzed and ready to keep on writing and doing things, but things got in the way. You know, we had a member of the band leave. We, you know, debated whether or not we wanted to stay a band. You know, we had other people come in and start playing, and we just didn't have our mojo going. We didn't have it all together. We had ideas for songs, but they just didn't kind of flesh out. So we kept on working them. And then finally, we had the addition of, you know, Pete Mittler, our bass player. And, you know, at that point, things really clicked and gelled. And we really had a cohesive unit as a band. I think we grew into knowing who we really were. And everything became better. We make the joke, everything's better with Pete, and it really is. And so we got back to some of the songs that we had been writing. We had new songs brought to the table with Pete's addition. And we started realizing too, hey, we don't just write things to write them. Make sure you're putting out something that you really feel proud about, something that you really want to have as a quality, effort. And as we were maturing over these 14 years, we also realized that we could be more critical of each other, and that it wasn't like we all worked in these silos that, Daryl, you just write lyrics and I come with the lyrics and say, here's what I'm writing, and don't tell me to do anything different, and I'm going to do it my way. It's more so if I brought something to the table and it had the right thematic part to it, but something was missing, Ken would chime in and say, that's not what you should be singing. And I'm like, whoa, that's okay. Back in the old days, I'd be like, screw you. I'm doing this is what I do. You can do your part. But now it's more like, yeah, you're right. Let's make this better for the sake of what we're writing for the band. And so I believe that 14-year hiatus of having something out helped us to really make these songs gel and let them mature in a way, to a point where we didn't just put something out and record it and then later on look back and go, that's not even what we wanted to play. It's more so we know what we wanted to play. We were able to be critical of the work, to make sure that it was quality and not just some quantity of throwing things out there. I'll say for certain, and I'll say this now, I'll probably be wrong, it won't be another 14 years before we write new stuff. I mean, that's the thing. It's already start writing on new stuff. So that's, since we have the band that we matured into and that we want to be, I think that we have the right formula to put things together in a more reasonable fashion than 14 years now.
Yeah, for sure. And so for like musical influences, what are some of the bands that inspired the songs on this album?
Wow, inspired the songs. That's a good question. I'd really like to say the only bands that inspire the songs are kind of us, because we wrote them.
Okay.
I mean, but when you talk about influences for the band, they come from a wide range of musical talents. Of course, Naked Ray Gun being one of those things, and the way that Chicago sounds with guitars and putting things together. But I'd say bands that influence me just in general are Bad Religion, The Descendants, Government Issue, just the Furies. It's there's all kinds of influence that we have in our music. But I think not to sound like I'm trying to be so aloof in any way, because I'm not trying to. I think we have a unique kind of sound to us, and it kind of just
I think you do.
us. So and I think it comes from all the musical influences, whether it's Midwestern punk rock, whether it's our East Coast punk rock that we like, or West Coast things, or hardcore stuff like listening to Sick of It All, and Youth of Today back in the day, and things like that. So we take a lot of things, or my love of Pennywise and things. It's like there's so many bands that influence us. I mean, my biggest influence, Naked Ray and The Descendants and Bad Religion. Those are things that are like my favorites. But I think that our inspirations come from just playing fast, to the core, sincere, music, and it really is a hodgepodge of things, but it all uniquely comes out to be us in the end.
Yeah. And I love a lot of the influences that you mentioned, so it makes sense why I like your music too.
Oh yeah, well, thanks. Appreciate it.
And do you have a favorite song on the album?
Oh yeah, I love them all, by the way. I really do, because it's like we put a lot into this, and each one has its own, it's like having your kids, right? You have, I have 3 kids, and a buddy of mine told me, until you have 3 kids, you don't know how to love kids, because having 2, you can split them up between you, and it's easy. But every song has its own unique personality, just like your kids, just like my kids do. And I think if I had to think of a song that hits me in a way that I love beyond anything, oh geez, I think, well, I really like Predisposition as the start, because it's just a hard-hitting, hits hard. It's the track that starts everything. But I love Galt's Gulch, and that kind of grew into this thing. Initially, when we wrote the song, a lot of us in the band, 3/4 of us were kind of like, I don't know if we like this song.
Yeah.
And Ken was like, no, this song is great. And they're like, okay. And we kept playing it. And this was one that really did evolve over the years. And as we kept playing it more and more, and it kept evolving, it grew. And we're like, yeah, this is really, really good. So Ken could see the bones of this, like
Yeah.
looking at a house, you're like, this house is horrible. It's like, oh no, this house is great. You can't see it. It's look at the bones of it. And Ken
Yeah.
really had that vision, and it's a great tune. It's surprising because it sounds a little different, but it's not. It's really, it is what it's us. But it hits you in the beginning. You're like, wow, this is an interesting take for the Bollweevils, but it's like, oh my God, this is the Bollweevils, and it's such a
Yeah.
mature way. But I like the Cutting Solution because of its, message and the way that it sounds, the way it drives. Hourglass is I love that song too. It's just another unique one. But it's the message behind it regarding, the false nature of believing that you have all the time in the world when you don't. So you should live your life, or if you're not living, you're dying.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Lemon and Tonic is just fun. I mean, it's like, there's a whole bunch, every song has its own unique feel to it. And so to pick one, it's like ask me to pick one of my kids. I can't I like them all. And even the reimagining of Bottomless Pit and, Peggy Sue, those also, because Bottomless Pit's one of my favorite songs we've ever written. And, we've matured with that song. That song's matured as well. I mean, off of Stick Your Neck Out now, it is a song that's the same, but it's very different.
Yeah.
So I guess to really go back to answer questions, I'm avoiding answering it, which is like the song. I don't have one. I love the whole album as a whole, so I can't pick one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You had a chance to listen to the record? Did you have a chance to listen to it?
Not yet, but I really look forward to it.
Yeah, so there I'd be looking forward to hear what you think yours is.
Yeah, for sure. I'll let you know. Yeah. And you got to play at the Metro recently with Rise Against. So can you tell me about that? Like, how was it?
Oh yeah, that was great. That was fun. We actually had a chance to play with them back in 2009 at the Metro. And that was just a great time, and those guys, since known them for a long time. Joe is one of my best friends, and Joe has been around me and us since the inception of 88 Fingers Louie back in the day, or even to go back farther than that, Inside Baseball, Spoonless days of Joe Spoonless, or even Platypus Rex, which was the name of 88 Fingers Louie before they were 88 Fingers Louie.
Oh, wow.
Platypus Rex, by the way.
What a great name.
But oh no, it's not a good name at all. No, that's the worst name, Platypus Rex.
I know.
But the Joe, who is like my brother, he is. His mom still calls me son. It's just sisters are great.
Oh.
It was one of those things where they were talking about doing this residency at the Metro, and said, hey Joe, you think about bands. Of course, he said, we're thinking about your band too. I said, hey, yeah, that'd be great. And I knew there's a chance it's going to happen or not happen. And if it didn't, it's not going to change our friendship in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, hey, you're a Chicago band. You guys are influenced to make sure that we exist as a band. So let's do that. So we got to open up, and it was just a great time to be with friends. It was really just an old home week of hanging out with your buddies.
Yeah.
And us getting a chance to play in front of a crowd that may not have ever really heard us or experienced us, but a lot of people were there that had. We made some new fans that night, which was great. My daughter, one of my daughters, is a big fan of Rise Against, so that's she got a chance to hang out with them, which is great. But yeah, the experience and the opportunities to do stuff like that, it's such an amazing part of being in music. And, that's what this, really is about, right? The value that comes out of this are the experiences that you get to have in life. Because you can look back on your life and see all the TVs you bought, or all the phones you owned, or cars you've had, or whatever, the clothes you bought. And that's never going to really, equal in value to the experiences that you can have. And me playing in this little punk rock band out of Chicago that's continued to play for all these years has afforded me really unique experiences where I've met people who I never thought I'd ever meet. You know, I
Yeah.
met the guys in the Descendants, and you know, Jay
Yeah.
Robbins. You know, it's like
That's so cool.
that's the stuff that this is all about, and having the ability to still do this
Yeah.
and still get up and jump around on stage and entertain people and connect with an audience
Yeah.
is the best. And that show was an amazing time, and you know, it's going to be one of those memories that once again gets locked into my brain, and continues to play over and over again.
Wow, that's awesome. And do you have a favorite venue? Like, is it the Metro or
Oh,
is
that's
it
the
another
mecca of
one?
places. The Metro's one of the greatest venues in the universe, and it is.
Yeah.
You know, I considering that, you know, we had an opportunity to play. One of my first shows was playing at the Metro for their 9th gala anniversary,
Oh,
and then
cool.
having the opportunity to play at the Metro for their 40th
Yeah.
anniversary.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
and that's the place that we, as you know, Chicago punk rock guys and girls, you know, when you're looking at the place to play, you made
Mhm.
it when you were on that Metro stage. And I had an
Yeah.
opportunity to play there, you know, my first shows, and then we had to
Yeah.
climb back up again, and I got to do it later on. So, I
Yeah.
mean, Joe Shanahan has made one of the greatest venues. It is the greatest venue on the planet. He's a great guy. You know, I had
Yeah.
opportunities to hang out with him and catch up, you know, at the show. And it's just like, he is making, you know, one of the last independent venues, by the way, in the world.
Oh,
And so,
I didn't know that.
yeah. I mean, that's the
That's
thing
so
too, you
cool.
know, that's so real.
Yeah.
And it is the sound is great. The people are great. It is home. It is definitely a place that you go to, and it is home.
Yeah.
So the, I hope there's there for another 80 years, you know,
Yeah.
and on. But that is probably my favorite place to play.
Awesome.
You know, there's a lot of other venues in Chicago that are grand. You know, I mean, hell, I mean, Reggie's is great, Cobra Lounge,
Yeah.
you know, Shop, you know, you can go on and on, you know,
Hmm.
Bottom Lounge, you
Yeah.
know, all these places are really great. Liars Club, of course, you know, I mean, places are great to play. But Metro is kind of the pinnacle of all those places. And
Cool.
it is definitely you know, if you have the opportunity to be on that stage and play, it's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And what is your favorite song to play live?
Boy, oh, you know, there's a couple. I love playing Bottomless Pit, don't get me wrong, but the
Yeah.
song I really like to play live, I think, is Peggy Sue. Because it's
Okay.
just this visceral, spastic, kind of crazy. I always make the joke kabuki theater kind of thing, where it's like,
Yeah.
you know, make it all crazy and act out like I don't harming myself in some way, which is ridiculous. But that's one of my favorite songs to play live.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, we have just the energy of a show in general makes every song really just fun to play. You know, the
Yeah.
interaction with the audience. Sundown, I love playing that song because I usually dive in the audience, and that's, you
Yeah.
know, fun.
Yeah, that is fun.
Dangerous but fun.
Yeah.
Calculated fun. But I think Peggy Sue's one of my favorite songs to play live whenever we get a chance to do that. I don't think we've ever had it out of the set for since we've
Mhm.
been playing. I think it's always in the set somewhere because it is one of the ones that I love. And I think Bottomless Pit's always, we skipped it once, which is weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Peggy Sue's probably my favorite song to play live.
Cool. And so the new album Essential will be out via Red Scare. So how has it been working with that label?
They're the best. Toby, you know, he a long time ago said he would never release a record by the Bollweevils unless it was a split with Rise Against, and so
Oh
that's
wow.
so he had to. So he's a liar, is what it is. So Toby's a
Yeah.
liar. But you know, Toby and Brendan, they really have been very supportive, and they've made this a really great collaboration. And you know, they're friends, they're buddies. It's like you can call them and make jokes, and it's great. But
Mhm.
they really want us to thrive, and they want us to do well, and we want to do well because we're very loyal and support whomever's supporting us. So this is a
Yeah.
great melding. It's family getting together and friends getting together, and trying to put out things that are great, and the bands on the label are awesome.
Yeah.
Love them. It's like this is a great place to be, and Red Scare is like killing it, man. They're amazing.
Cool. And since this is the Pop Punk and Pizza podcast, I always have to ask, what's your favorite kind of pizza?
Favorite kind of pizza?
Yeah.
Right. I think it's got to be now a thin crust cheese pizza with mushrooms, green pepper, onion, sometimes get spinach in the mix. So I stopped.
Yeah.
I don't really eat meat anymore, so that's the
Okay.
thing. So, but that's kind of our favorite thing. The
Yeah.
other day we had deep dish, and we used to eat that all the time, and
Yeah.
hadn't had it for a while. And my kids were like, we're used to thin crust now. What are you doing? And they're like, oh, we have this pizza. And I was like, it's okay. But I think I prefer a thin crust pizza now. Just
Yeah.
even a plain cheese thin crust pizza is totally fine.
Yeah.
Totally fine with
Thin
me.
crust is the best. Honestly, that's my favorite
The
kind.
thing that makes your pizza, though, it's the sauce that makes your pizza. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, sauce can really
That is
make or break
true.
your pizza. And if you have a really bad sauce, that's not good. I had a pizza
Yeah.
once. Well, they claimed it was a pizza. I was in St. Lucia doing a medical trip where we were helping out, and I remember
Yeah.
we went to a place and they said, "Oh, we have pizza." I'm like, "Okay." I don't like eating pizza outside of the Chicagoland area because New York is fine, but eating pizza outside of Chicagoland is very dangerous. And so, especially if you're eating pizza overseas. So, they brought out this pizza, and it was supposedly a sausage pizza at the time,
Yeah.
and it was like cut up hot dogs
Oh
on
no.
like this bread thing, flat bread, and the sauce, I swear, was ketchup. I was like,
Oh
what?
no.
I'm like, what? I'm like,
That
this. They're
sounds
like,
like the
oh no,
worst.
it was. I'm like, this is pizza. I'm like, no, it's not. I said, this is a tragedy, is what this is. This is not
Yeah.
right.
That sounds like
So,
the worst kind of pizza ever.
well, I would never use the word pizza with that. I'm like, this is
No.
not true to what pizza is. So how dare you, St. Lucians? I must walk out. Good day to you all. It was horrible.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I like I said, a cheese pizza is fine, but you put a few condiments on, like giardiniera on a pizza is awesome. Giardiniera on a
Yeah.
pizza is awesome. So that's another thing. Throw some little spicy giardiniera on there. Oh, that good stuff. Good stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I love margarita pizza, but I love like just veggies on pizza. I'm not really big on like meat on pizza, so I don't really like sausage or like pepperoni, but I'm I tolerate it, you know.
Yeah, I used to be, but stopped doing that. Got to keep myself
Yeah,
as limber as possible.
yeah,
It weighs you down a bunch. So I'm like,
yeah,
I mean, it's occasionally, if I had to, I would, but I prefer like a straight just cheese pizza is fine.
yeah. Cool. And when is your next show?
Next show in Chicago is May 27th at the Chop Shop. We're playing with the Dopamines. That's going to be our record release show because our record comes out May 5th. So the record release show, the 27th of May at the Chop Shop with the Dopamines and the Reaganomics, Rad Payoff, and Butchered. It's going to be a great
Cool.
show. So get your tickets and go. Our next show before that actually is going to be at Pooza Fest in Montreal. We play on May 20th at Foofs, which is going to be awesome. And right after us playing is Brutal Youth, who have a new record that just came out yesterday, which is awesome. So you should go listen to Brutal Youth's new record. It's really good. They're awesome. And then go listen to some of their older stuff. Listen to Sanguine. Awesome. Just Brutal Youth, they rule. They're just amazing. So just listen to them. So we're going to play in Pooza and then play May 27th at the Chop Shop. Hope to see people there, which would be awesome.
Cool. Sounds fun. And where can our listeners find your music?
Oh, you can find us on all the streaming services. You can find us on Bandcamp as well. So we're out there. You can find us on Instagram at the Bollweevils Chicago. You can find us on Facebook. I know people don't use Facebook, but some people do. We have 2 accounts.
Yeah, some people do.
Right. There's the Bollweevils and there's the Bollweevils Chicago, which are 2 competing accounts, which our social media people are fighting on either side. So whoever runs those things, it's like we have the 2 different teams running them.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to see them battle. And You can find us on Twitter, I guess, too. I think there's a Twitter account somewhere out there, which is insane. So, but yeah, we're all over all the streaming platforms you can find us. So go out there and listen. And when, Essential comes out, definitely take a listen. You can pick that up too for pre-order. If you want to get the vinyl, go to Red Scare's website and they have it there for order. So pick it up early and get to the songs and be ready.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate this.
Yeah, of course. This was a lot of fun. All right. Have a good one.
Yep, you too. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.